Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. Welcome to the Ormonde Jayne Discovery Series. What is this concept? Well, it's about you and me experiencing fragrances together in real time across the world. There's two ways to enjoy this particular production. One, just continue to watch and just enjoy it as a normal review, or, and this is what I invite you to do, jump on the Ormonde Jayne website, go to the tasting menu and order the atmospheric, floral, and fruity. Use the code NFC10 for a 10% discount. And then when your tasting menu arrives, boot back this production and follow me as we go along and discover these incredible fragrances. Now, if you do have your tasting menu in front of you, I'd like to focus on these 6 here, and I'd love you to put your fragrances in this particular order. First, we're gonna do Frangipani, then Damask, then we'll go to Taif, then Babylonia, followed by Isfarkand, with Evernia being our final fragrance. Now, Ormonde Jayne, why did I select this brand as something to focus on? It's funny how we all have heroes in our lives, whether it be in music, in movie, in art. For me, I have a number of perfume heroes, and one of them is a lady by the name of Linda Pilkington. When I first got into Niche Perfumery, I fell in love with Ormonde Jayne very quickly and started to discover more about Linda and her brand, and very quickly realized that this is a kindred spirit. This is a woman who is very entrepreneurial, she's very creative, and just full of energy. It was 2022, I was in Aix-en-Provence for the very first time. I was immersed in all this perfume glory. I could see in the distance the Ormonde Jayne stand, and as I got closer, I saw Linda Pilkington. Now, for those who may have met her, she's a very petite woman. I always say that her spirit animal is like this gigantic sort of, is it a bear? But it's something majestic, something very grand. I must have had googly eyes because one of the staff members from Ormonde Jayne saw me and said, "Can I help you with anything?" I said, "Is that Linda? What's the chances I could shake hands with her?" They were very gracious. She was in the middle of a meeting, and yet she came out to shake my hand, to say hello, and we took this photo together. For me, this was a priceless moment. It was one of those things like, I can't believe that I actually bumped into this woman. Since then, I've had multiple opportunities to meet with Linda, to be able to film alongside her and discover more about her brand. So a lot of the actual storylines relating to the brand are actually directly from her. It's in our conversations that we've had together. One thing about Linda, she loves to use the word either happenchance or happenstance. And she does have this beautiful English accent, and she's happenstance or happenchance. What it basically means is that she allows the universe to lead and direct her. It's almost like she puts in enormous energy and creativity into all that she endeavors, all that she does. But she lets the universe to flow and direct her where she needs to go. She tells the story that as a young child, she was already very entrepreneurial and also very creative. She would make candles. These candles she would then sell to her friends and family and the neighbors within her area. Years later, she came back from South America, relocated back to England, and happened to bump into, happenchance or happenstance, into an old neighbor who said, "I do remember you making those beautiful candles. Is there any chance that you could make another one for me? I now work for a very prominent retailer and I'd love to burn your beautiful candles in that store." Now, in true Linda style, she thought, well, I can't just make a candle. So she went to Grasse to study the different oils that are being created there and to also research what could be this candle that she was going to give to this gentleman. She delivered the candle and it was a hit within the store. Someone within the business, much higher up, loved this candle and sent Linda a fax and said, "Can we have 50 more, please?" It was at that stage that she realized, one, she needed to create an invoice, and two, she needed the name. What was the name of her business? She thought to herself, I could call it Linda Pilkington. Her husband said, it doesn't have a nice ring to it. He did say, though, your middle name is Jayne and you live in Ormonde Terrace. So Jayne Ormonde. Didn't quite work. Bop, Ormonde Jayne, and boom, the business was born. Linda's original business was about creating candles, but happen chance, another opportunity occurred in which she then started to pour herself into perfumery, and this is what we see with the brand today. Linda still sells candles, however, it's the fragrance line that's really caught the attention of the world. Let's begin by smelling the very first one. This is Frangipani. I'd love you, if you have it before you, to spray and see what you think of this. Now, for me, Frangipani is probably one of the most romantic flowers in the world. Just looking at this beautiful white petaled flower with these tinges of pink and different colors, or yellow. For me, instantly, it makes me think of the South Pacific. It makes me think of a tropical landscape, of lush greenery, of heat, of holidays, of recreation, of fun, and of a beautiful sun-kissed solar and musky skin. And I feel like Frangipani embodies all of those elements. It has this wonderful white floral tropical sea breeze. You feel you're being whisked away to another place. I've discovered that I love white florals in my fragrance. Jasmine, orange blossom, things of that nature. I find that Frangipani is now this beautifully round and robust white floral scent. It has that tinges of that indolic sort of headiness, but it also mixes in with this yellow floral denseness about it. Very lush and enveloping. What are you detecting? For me, it stays very solar. It stays very white floral. It does have that denseness. I love that on the opening, they've combined this with linden blossom. Linden blossom is this beautiful white floral, but it's incredibly heady. And if you've ever walked underneath a linden blossom tree, it's almost to the point where you feel a little bit woozy from the intensity of the scent profile. It's not that intense here, so it has been tamed back, but that solar, that happiness, that brightness, because of the linden blossom, comes out very strong on that opening. It gives you that burst of floral sunshine. I love that the linden blossom opening has been supported with this touch of lime. You get this beautiful freshness from the fragrance. When the perfume opens, you get this burst of sunshine. It's like summer florals are just exploding out onto the scene. As it begins to dry down, it does go to a creamy Frangipani. Now that beautiful Frangipani note, heady and indolic and white and paradise, begins to come forward, and finally it does settle to a wonderful sweet floral musk place. I've got it here as my dry down. It has this creamy floral, to say that it's lactonic gives you the idea that it's milky. It's not milky at all. But to say creamy is the right word. There is this, I almost feel like maybe even coconut, like a coconut cream, that it has this very rich denseness about it. But there is a creaminess. There is this beautiful, and it could be a floral musk, this sort of, again, I feel like I put my hand in some sort of cream. There's something more substantial than just milkiness that sort of runs out. I also feel that the Frangipani blossom is now in full bloom. It has this denseness to it. It has a solar energy to it. You would think something like this, all these white blossoms, all this creaminess, this very dense florals would be very feminine. And yes, this is a gorgeous fragrance for a woman to wear. My wife, who loves Frangipani in nature, adores this fragrance here. However, I can wear this fragrance without a problem. It's that floral musk on the dry down that can work really well on a man. I get a comfortable 8+ hours on this particular fragrance, and its sillage and projection is in that very confident moderate. When my wife Sandra is wearing it, it's very discernible in the air. I've always said that a beautiful floral fragrance on a man works magic. This for me is a gorgeous evening fragrance during summer. Something that has, there's still quite a bit of heat in the air, your skin is warm, and this wonderful sillage and floral popping off your skin. Gorgeous. Boom. Next one. Now, rose. So let's stay on that theme of men and floral fragrances. Some men are like, not for me. Just give me the aromatics, give me the woods and the moss and the more masculine edge. It's interesting to note that years ago, rose was considered as a fragrance note for a man to wear. Today, most men are uncomfortable with that thought. But let me put forward 2 rose fragrances that I feel that a man can wear. One is a lot more fruity and bubbly, that has possibly a little bit more feminine lean to it. However, for me, I love wearing it. The other one does definitely have a lot more of a masculine edge to it. There's a darkness, a deepness in that particular fragrance profile. I'd love you to pick up your card. I'm going English. Pick up your card and spray Damask for me. This was one of my early loves also in the brand. I love all things rose. And so for me, rose is an easy fragrance note. It works, again, rose on a man is immaculate. If you want a statement maker, if you go into a wedding, you go into an event, anything of that nature, a beautiful rose fragrance on a man, I tell you, you will stand out. And this here is a festive rose. It is a gourmand. It has a gourmand touch to it. And if you have it in front of you and you have sprayed, what is that key note that's popping out? There's one note. As soon as you unbox that, you're like, it all just springs into action. And as soon as I sprayed it before, it's just glorious. It's a pear note. It's a pear, but now it's been coupled with this gorgeous succulent black currant touch to it. And it has this vibrance, this fruity happiness that comes busting out. On skin, this is the most gorgeous fragrance. When this fragrance opens, it has this divine, fruity, floral nature to it. And the rose hasn't quite presented itself. You're just getting a beautiful floral touch to the fragrance, but those fruit notes are they're effervescent. They're all around you. That pear, that black currant just opens up with sunshine. As the fragrance migrates, it does go to that sugar rose. The rose begins to come forward. Those early sugary notes or those fruity notes begin to pair back. And together you're getting this wonderful full-bodied rose. You can actually see this gorgeous pink Damascus rose in front of you. And then finally, as it dries down, it goes to this champagne rose. It took me a while to come to that conclusion because I was getting this effervescent feel to it, this bubbliness. I was trying to sort of, how do I define that final dry down of the rose? Because all those fruity notes and that sparkle that you have at the start, that sugariness from the rose coming through, and then when it settled, it went to this, it retained those pieces, but it went to this beautiful place of happiness. And I could see myself being festive, and I could see myself being at the races, even though I've never been to the races, but I could see in a three-piece suit, a top hat, and that's when it went, oh, it's a champagne flute. That's what I'm seeing in front of me. On dry down, you're getting this wonderful metallic brightness to the fragrance along with that rose. If you do have it in front of you, I'd love you to spray it on skin. On card is gorgeous, but when you put that on skin, all those notes that I just mentioned, those early fruitiness, and then that beautiful sugar rose, and then finally that metallic, sparkling champagne feel to the fragrance all begins to balance itself out. It's absolutely divine. Actually, I kept pointing to here, but in fact, it's over here. Oh, it's gorgeous. And I do get this, I love that Ormonde Jayne loves to use a word called amberesque. So it's basically this amber touch to the fragrance, and you do get a slight floral amberesque feel to it. I'm now probably about 2 hours into the dry down, and I have, the rose is still present, but it's not as sugary and bright as it was early in the fragrance. You're gonna get a comfortable 7+ hours without a problem. Its sillage and projection is in a very confident, moderate. You'll find that as you, well, again, if you are going to the races, you'll find that everybody around you will be detecting your fragrance, and also it has good push. It has great presence to the actual fragrance itself. Let's move on. The second rose in this lineup. This one here is exceptionally different. Think about rose and rose production for perfumery. Where would you source it from? I mean, for me, I instantly think of the south of France in Grasse. That's known for their Rose of May. Also Bulgaria, Turkey. They're the main ones that sort of come to mind. What about Saudi Arabia in the middle of the desert? Does that come to mind? Funny, back in 2005 when Linda first discovered that there is an Arabian rose, at that stage, the rose from Taif was not known. There was no fragrances celebrating the rose from that area. The rose from Taif was created as an attar during that time. And Linda was the first person to bring the rose of Taif into Niche Perfumery. And the experience is completely different from Damask. And if you have Damask, I'd love you to smell that. I don't know what stage you guys are at, but this for me is this beautiful, fruity, raspberry, berry-like, full-bodied rose, pink and plump. Just gorgeous. And then you have Taif, where it's dry. Tinges of spices are coming through. Completely different. To the point where, on card, for me at least, I can't say that there's rose in here. So what I'd love you to do, if you do have it in front of you, I'd love you to spray. Actually, I've got it here. Again, dried down. It's been about 2 hours. And now you're getting this wonderful rose pared back. So different to Damask. So different, worlds apart. It has one extra note in here, and I'll come to it just shortly, but there is an extra note in here, which if you're a man and uncomfortable with that sort of fruity, bubbly rose, very floral-like, then the Taif rose would be perfect for you. There is this animalic darkness, this little touch of I guess, more of a, not rougher edge, but more of a masculine edge, for lack of a better word, where a man can comfortably wear this. But let me give you the opening, because the opening is quite unusual. And if you spray, if you have it, I'd love you to spray. I don't detect it, but I'm certain that it's there. There's a sweet date note. I don't really get a date note as much. I do get like a spicy sweetness. I know that there's also pink pepper, and it could be the pink pepper creating that sort of berry fruitiness or sweetness in there, and that peppery, spicy component to it. Linda mentioned that when she went to Taif, as she was researching with the intention of getting the rose from Taif, she said that one of the things that they would always do is present her with a beautiful box of dates, and she wanted to incorporate that experience into the creation of the fragrance. I found the evolution of the fragrance being quite unique. On opening, you're getting this spicy, sweet note coming through. And again, it could be the balance between that date and those pink pepper notes. As it moves through, it does go to this dry, floral place. The rose hasn't quite presented itself. You're getting more of a floral bouquet. I know that there are things like freesia and these other floral notes in there. Finally, when it dries down, it goes to this suede rose. There is saffron, and that saffron is creating equal part the spice. The saffron's on the opening, but I find that for me, I'm getting that leathery, that slight suede leathery touch to the rose. The rose is always deep and dark and more, it's more subdued. The best way to describe these two is Damask is bubbly and joyful and bursts forward, and it's a look at me kind of fragrance. Whereas Taif is more subdued and restrained and more stoic. You know, there's this more quiet strength to this particular fragrance. Again, for men who are uncomfortable with overtly floral or overtly rose fragrances, Taif would be magic. Those more darker notes, the saffron, there's also an amber, and I find that, again, this has this sense of seriousness to the fragrance. This brings it down into more of a more brooding place, a more earthier place. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Ladies, easy to wear. For a woman, my wife loves wearing Taif. When she's feeling a bit more wanting to be grounded, a bit more serious on the day, Taif is perfect. For a man, magic. That rose note is very subdued and gentle, but it's definitely present, and especially on that dry down. I found that the fragrance on me has a comfortable 7+ hours. I can smell the fragrance, not as jubilant or as full-bodied as Damask, but it's definitely present and definitely around me. And I find that the sillage and projection is more in a quiet moderate. So it hasn't come into a body scent, but it definitely hasn't the same push as Damask does. Boom. The next one. Now this one here, from things that I've read, doesn't get a lot of love. And I'm disappointed because I think this is gorgeous. And for me, and this is the one I'm wearing today, is one that I fell in love very, very quickly. Babylonia. The idea behind Babylonia is that it celebrates that ancient city. One of the 7 wonders of the world were the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. And I feel that this fragrance tries to capture a portion of that, tries to sort of imagine yourself in this place, seeing this incredible landscape where these buildings and these cascading florals are there, fruit trees perhaps, and these greens and water. This captures all that beauty. If you have the tasting menu, please spray this on card, just to start off with. What are you detecting? And I just want you to write down, divine or not divine. So, and you can say no, not divine. But I'd like you to write down divine or not divine, or beautiful, whatever the word that you use to describe something that is magical. Yes or no? All right, now what I want you to do is spray on skin. Now again, I mentioned, I've got it on me, so I'm gonna go like this and I'm gonna spray down. Oh, there it is. And let's sit on that for a little bit. Let me tell you a story. So in preparation for today, I invited 5 friends to my house to experience some of these fragrances because I wanted to get a female perspective. There's a few more florals in these fragrances, and so I wanted to get their perception on it. 5 ladies came over. We smelled a number of the fragrances, and I presented Babylonia to them. This was now at the end of the session. We'd been now smelling perfumes for about an hour, hour and a half. These are all perfume lovers, so they were very happy. However, like all things, you get fatigued and you get tired. And in smelling this, the card, they essentially dismissed it. Like, no, I don't like this one. It's not that nice. I'm like, okay, tell me why. Oh, it's way too fruity. It's very fruity on the opening. Oh, there's some florals in there. No, I don't find it as exciting as Ba Ba Boom. And I thought, wow, I was right. I didn't say anything because my purpose is not to interject, just to extract information, tell me your thoughts and feelings, tell me what you're seeing, all that nature. So I just kept my mouth shut and wrote down. Internally, it was very sad because I love Babylonia. I think this is one of the classics in the collection. I love wearing it. I feel like it's a gorgeous fragrance to wear. When Sandra wears it, she smells amazing. But I thought, I'm going to stay quiet. What I did do at the end of the session now, the ladies all had a chance to spray the different fragrances and test it out for themselves. And what I did was I put it on skin. Didn't say anything, bop, and let them do their thing. And then I went up to them one by one. Smell that. What do you think of this one? And they're like, wow, that's really nice. Which one's that? I'm like, okay, just give me 1 second. And I went to someone else. I'm like, what do you think of this fragrance here? Oh, wow, what is that? Turns out everybody, and no exaggeration, Sandra is my witness, everybody was like, wow, which one is that? Babylonia. When you put it on skin, it takes us to another dimension. There is something more that seems to radiate from this particular fragrance. I find that the balance between all the different facets, whether it be fruity, whether it be floral, all those gourmand notes, are all just wonderfully balanced in this beautiful, beautiful scent profile that you can use as an evening fragrance. It's great as a day fragrance. It's great as a summer or a cool winter fragrance. I find that this one here is exceptionally versatile. When the fragrance opens up, it has this beautiful fruity green touch to it. Think of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, where there would have been a mixture of florals and green, but also fruits, I'm imagining. And one of those fruits could be a blueberry or black currant, succulent and rich and sweet, but also with these green notes. And in this case here, it has a Davana, that green, not necessarily bitter, but definitely a green herbal element to it. And this balance between these two are interplaying in that particular opening. As it migrates through, it goes to these beautiful sweet florals, and you're getting the earlier notes of that fruit, but then in the base there's also vanilla. And I find that it interplays between these two pieces here. Finally, when it dries down, it does go to a very powdery vanilla fragrance. The magic in the fragrance is the orris butter. It has a wonderful iris powdery touch to it, but with a wonderful vanilla touch. It has things like vanilla from Madagascar. It has a praline accord, so think caramel and brown sugar-esque. It does have also benzoin, and benzoin is a beautiful resin that has a vanilla touch to it. So it's a gorgeous amber-esque gourmand fragrance, but with these powdery floral feels to it. It's a beautiful fragrance that has great presence and sillage. You're going to get a very confident moderate. You'll find that everyone around you will be picking up this wonderful, by the time that you get to the event, this wonderful vanilla floral touch to the fragrance with a very powdery effect. Men, do not be shy. This is a gorgeous fragrance to wear. Massive recommendation. However, boys, there are some that want more of the woods and the aromatics. You know, florals. Oh, I have some male friends who they tread carefully when it comes to fragrances that have florals in them. They want to stick more within their scope, which is woods and aromatics and herbals and things of that nature. So let me put forward to you Isfarkand. This one here, boys, you will not be disappointed. I recommend, now whether you put it on card or whether you put it on skin, this fragrance is gorgeous. Actually, I tell everybody about this fragrance. I feel like this one here is a little bit of a hidden gem. It was released some time ago, and I think maybe sometimes what happens is that with the different releases and all the things that are coming forward, some of the old classics get pushed backwards, but let me put it back forward to you. I love the backstory to Isfarkand. This was a gift that Linda had created for her husband when he turned 30. She knew the kind of fragrances that he enjoyed. Bright citruses, this beautiful aromatic heart, and then a wonderful woody sort of dry down with a bit of earthy vetiver touch to it. So she created this. Turns out that this became a hit. Her husband would come home and say, someone else told me that they loved the fragrance I'm wearing. One of the stories Linda told me was that her husband was getting into a lift. This man comes running and says, "Excuse me, sir, what fragrance are you wearing?" So it got to the point that they decided that Isfarkand could not just be for her husband, it needed to be for the world. This is classic masculine fragrance. Think James Bond in a really good suit. This is the kind of fragrance that he would be wearing. I've been wearing it here, and I'm in its dry down, where it's this wonderful vetiver, mossy earthiness that it has to it. On opening, divine. Let's do it all again. And if you have it, if you've got the tasting menu, I'd love you to spray, because on skin, it's just gorgeous. Boys, on opening, you're getting a beautiful, sharp citrus note. These beautiful citruses pop out instantly. As it begins to migrate through, it does go to a very beautiful, spicy, aromatic heart. And finally, when it dries down, it has this earthy, wood-like sensation to it. As I mentioned before, I was on the dry down, and you're getting this wonderful vetiver, mossy, cedar wood-like quality to the fragrance. It's super masculine. It's the classic masculine fragrances that are out there. This is pretty much embodies all those elements. And it's invigorating. It's a suit up kind of fragrance, but you could also dress it down. You can wear something more casual with this. I find that for me, I get a comfortable 6+ hours with this fragrance, and I get a more quiet moderate. So it does fall into that moderate category, but it doesn't go down to a body scent or anything of that nature. There is a different confidence with the fragrance. People around me are detecting it. I don't know if the girls can wear this one. So ladies, Frangipani, 100%. That's a beautiful, easy fragrance for a woman to wear. Isfarkand, I've discovered within my family, is an easy fragrance for a boy to gravitate towards, or a man to gravitate towards. My son, 30-year-old, absolutely adores this fragrance. Whenever he sees it in my house, instantly grabs that baby and boom. So it's a very easy wear for a man. I would be curious to know if a woman, if any ladies are actually doing this discovery series with me, what are your thoughts on Isfarkand? Do you think a woman could wear this, or is it more aligned to a man? Boom. The last one. What do we know about oak moss? So oak moss was a fragrance note that was heavily used in early fragrances. Think of Chypre de Coty, where the core note in that essential fragrance, in that structure, was the oak moss. Then they discovered that there were some allergens as a result. People were getting rashes and things of that nature, and IFRA, not necessarily banned it, but definitely put a stop on using oak moss. Perfumers were desperately trying to replicate it with synthetic notes, but couldn't quite get the same level of magic that the oak moss actually generates in nature. Then in around 2020, there was some developments done. And in the extraction from nature, they were able to take out those allergens that were creating the drama. Ormonde Jayne released Evernia. And Evernia prunasti is the botanical name of oak moss. And here, the note that's being celebrated, the note that is the crowning glory of this fragrance is natural oak moss. And I'd love you to spray because this is gorgeous. This is one of those fragrances where, for a man, you instantly fall in love. It's one of those fragrance notes. I don't know, for me as a man, I do love things that are woody and forest-like, but I also love that dampness. You know, I love patchouli for its damp earth and dankiness that it has. And I find that this fragrance here, which celebrates that oak moss note, does it so beautifully. The forest, the woods, the danky sort of undergrowth, but always in a brightness. There's never anything heavy in this particular fragrance. And it's gorgeous. So here's the difference. If you look at Isfarkand, it has classic masculine aromatic woodiness to it, with that dry down being very leathery and earthy like. Whereas here, Evernia, I think a woman can comfortably wear this. I find that when it opens up, it has this wonderful spicy, fruity element to it. There are a mixture of these notes all fighting for dominance, I guess. One is the green cardamom, and for me, that green cardamom really comes forward. But I do get a sweetness. Discovered that sweetness is supplied by the cassis note. Having said that though, cassis also, not only does it have like a sweet berry-like element to it, it does have that greenness too. Then as it migrates through, you're getting this wonderful forest-like dankness or dampness. It's never heavy. It's never as if it's like molding undergrowth. In fact, it's sunshine, it's bright, it's forest-like. And when it dries down, there is this most gorgeous, creamy, woody sensation to the fragrance. Where it begins, again, sprayed on card, gorgeous. If you get a chance, spray it on skin, and the evolution of this fragrance is divine. It has a sandalwood note. It also has cashmeran, so you find this very beautiful, caressing, soft, creamy woods on that dry down. Very different to that somewhat green and spicy opening that the fragrance has. So this is a fragrance that I love using to go overseas with. It's one that's super versatile regardless of the weather. So beautiful sunny days, I've worn this and it sweats and it's just radiant around me. Cool evenings, no problems at all. This baby here is fantastic. Those woody notes are definitely hanging around and staying on your body. I love the evolution, where it begins, that brightness, and then where it dries down to this wonderful sandalwood woodiness on my skin is just divine. And for me, it's exciting that we have reintroduced the oak moss note. Boom! 6 beautiful fragrances from this tasting menu. Next episode, we'll cover the next 6. And there's a couple in there that we reintroduced the word Happenchance or Happenstance, as Linda would say. But it's also interesting to note that yes, that exists, that this chance opportunities that occur, but also her energy and the level of creativity and drive that this woman has as she pours herself into these Happenchance moments is phenomenal. It's a really cool story for next week. Now, from these 6, for those who had a chance to experience alongside me, what was your favorite? Was there something here that really popped? Did you try, and please, did you try Babylonia? And what was that like on your skin? Did that actually just sing a glorious song? Thanks everyone. We'll see you guys all on the next episode.